Well, as you can see, the Christmas party had a lot of identities there. They call it the A-listers and so on, but hey, realistically, we're just the workers. It was pretty full on. And for those that were there, once again, thanks so much for your support during the year. Now, joining me here in the studio today is Mr. Big in Property, and we've had a few of them on the show, but the CEO of the Property Council of Australia, South Australian Division, Mr. Nathan Payne. Welcome, Nathan.
Well, Merry Christmas, Anthony.
Yeah, it's very much the festive season. I've got my little Father Christmas here. Nathan, just before we get into some details and some questions about property, who is Nathan? Where are you from? What's your background? Kids? What's the story?
I've got a little 9-month-old boy,
Congratulations.
Nikolai. Thank you. He's coming up to his first Christmas. It'll be fun. I'm sure there's lots of
Christmas has completely changed once you've had a child.
Well, he's only 9 months old, so I'm figuring wrapping paper as opposed to gifts itself this year, but we'll wait and see. I've been in Adelaide for about 15 years, born in Canberra, but raised in England and Canada and a couple other places, and came here. Love Adelaide. It's as far as I'm concerned, it's the best place in the world.
So what's your background? You mentioned some politics or some sort of non-property background?
So I political science degree, worked for the Honourable Paul Holloway, the Minister for Planning and Urban Development, business SA, a stint in Canberra as a federal lobbyist, and then back here in Adelaide with the Property Council.
Now, the Property Council is not spoken about in public, like the general public much. So just explain to the people listening, what do you do?
So the Property Council represents the $35 billion invested in property in South Australia. So it's predominantly investors and owners of property, commercial, retail, industrial, and retirement assets. We also represent developers. So we represent the largest chunk of residential developers in the state.
So you get to see and talk about projects way before they hit the public, don't you?
Yeah.
Right, we'll come back to that a bit later in the show, as you know. Now let's just have a look. Property for 2010, good, bad, indifferent from your viewpoint?
Well, look, I think overall mixed. We started the year on a very, very high energy threshold. We had the BER program still running through, so the construction guys.
The BER?
BER, Building the Education Revolution, the school halls, and the
cool.
like.
Yep.
That was still running through the system, so everyone was pretty happy. Around the middle of the year, we saw the end of the federal government's bonus first home buyers grant. That rolled through, and since I guess the middle of the year, it's really dropped off a little bit in terms of how or what activities happening out there in the market.
And what's your perception of the final, say, month or 2 months, November, December, or October, November, December? What do you think happened?
Oh, look, I think it was probably a two-speed market or a two-speed sector. If you had a project, you were doing really, really well. If you didn't have a project, you were scratching around looking for something to do.
Right, okay. Okay, so that leads us into your forecast for 2011. What's going to happen in property? And bear in mind, for those of you listening, that this primary focus with the Property Council is not so much residential, but of course it's an outcome of what happens in residential. What do you think?
Oh, look, I think the next 2 years, 2011, 2012, are going to be really, really strong years for South Australia. We've got the state government's appointed the successful tenderer for the new Royal Adelaide Hospital project.
So that's done?
Well, they're at a preferred status, so it should be locked away sometime in the near future. But that's $1.7 billion of construction activity.
That's a lot of money in it.
We're trying to track this down, but we believe it's actually the biggest single project in Australia since the Opera House.
Fantastic.
Which is great outcome for South Australia. On top of that, Adelaide Oval, the Convention Centre, the Riverbank Precinct, Tower 8, which will be the largest commercial building in Adelaide CBD. And then on top of that again, we're still building about 10,000 new residential dwellings a year, which is up in and around the record level. So I think the next 2 years are going to be really great years.
Now, there's no oversupply of residential, that is for certain. In fact, there's an undersupply, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So with the immigration laws, do you think they're going to relax those to keep that pressure on the demand, or?
Oh, look, Property Council, and certainly I've been very vocal in saying we believe in a big South Australia. We believe that we should hit the target of 2 million. We believe that we should drive to hit the target of 2 million because that will ensure prosperity for all South Australians. We're doing some work at a national level with the federal ministers on the national urban policy, on the question of what is a sustainable Australia. So we're hoping to be able to push for a relaxation to get more people moving to Australia and hopefully South Australia.
Talk to me about Tower 8. What is it?
Tower 8 is the third building in the city central precinct. So we've got Tower 1, ANZ House, and Tower 2, Ernst & Young. Tower 8 will house the new tax office and some of Australia Post, but it's at 33,000 square metres. It's going to be one of Adelaide's greenest and certainly Adelaide's biggest building. Any
news on like Bowden or any other sort of big developments?
Oh, look, Bowden, that will be coming out in the new year. I think it's going to be very, very exciting opportunity for developers, for first home buyers, for every South Australian that wants to get involved.
So 3 biggest things for 2011?
3 biggest things. Look, I think the Riverbank precinct.
That'd be just unbelievable, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Friday night, wander down to Adelaide Oval to watch whoever you support, Port or the Crows, play at Adelaide Oval.
I think they'll come down anyway,
yeah.
Whoever they support, just for the event.
That's what we see in Melbourne. Hopefully we'll see it in Adelaide soon. I think the next one would be the City West, so the northwestern corner of the city. I think there's going to be some very...
Around the hospital?
Around the hospital, but word on the street is that the government's looking at other transport solutions that might tie in there that will really open and energise that area up. And the third area, look, I'd have to say Unley Road, with what the state government and the Unley Council have planned.
With the extra levels?
Yep, up to 8 to 10 stories.
Fantastic.
Think Central Park in New York. That's what it's going to be like.
It'll just be awesome. Okay, now, one big tip for property people.
One big tip, I think, is Bowden, the Bowden Village, the Clipsal transit-oriented development. That's going to be coming out to the market in early 2011. I think that's going to be really, really exciting.
Have you seen it?
I have.
No one else has seen it? Who else has seen it?
Not too many people.
So what's it got in it?
You'll have to wait until 2011.
Oh, stop it. No, seriously. Is there anything...
It's exciting. Let me tell you, as somebody who's a big believer in urban development and urban redevelopment, this is very exciting.
Nathan, we'll come back to that in a minute. But in the meantime, let's go behind the blinds.